up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's the Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast.
Breaking Kayfabe. Listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast.
Hi everyone, it's Bard and CGD and PTB. We are still Wealth and Asset. We are still here, bitch. And this is a Breaking Kayfabe. We're going to talk about stuff that's not wrestling.
Yeah.
So before we started, before we started the episode, we both went to take a urination, not together. That would be a mighty powerful.
Listen.
Tom, shut up. Shut up. I'm embarrassed now. I'm all embarrassed.
Don't worry, it's on the recording.
Yeah, it's on the Oh, great. Glad that joke's still fucking here. Boy, I love it. Boy, I love that fucking joke. Man, that really makes my mood great. Makes me want to do a fun Breaking Kayfabe. Love that joke so much. God, it's great. I was fully prepared to just go 10 minutes of doing that. I was just going to keep fucking going until you were like, Poot, come on, man. Like, just fucking please.
I knew you would snap out of it.
I was just going to keep fucking rolling. I was just going to be like, nope, fuck you.
So we're taking a piss separately.
So we together are taking a piss together separately at the same time. And I came back before Tom, and I swear to God I'm neurodivergent, because like either I'm neurodivergent or I'm constantly working on my bits. And like, I was sitting here and I was just really quietly went, he needs sleepies. Like real quietly, just like real, like, he sleepies. And Tom started cackling like a madman. I was like, don't worry about it. It's fine. I do that, man, from time to time. Like I'll get like, so you ever get a song stuck in your head?
Absolutely. All the time.
Okay. You get a song stuck in your head. Now, when you sing it, do you hum the whole thing, or like cut, or like go like, like you'll sing hum the whole song or hum whatever. Do you do that?
Sometimes it's just the hook, like maybe it's the chorus. Sometimes it's just a particular part of the song. Sometimes it's an entire song, and I just have to like go on YouTube and watch a video clip of it like 20,000 times. Case in point, we got done watching The Lost Boys recently, Andy and I did, because we were debating whether or not it's at that threshold of scary movies the kids could kind of get into. And I say scary movies with quotes,
right?
Objectively scary, whatever. Halloween, spoopy movies, all right?
Yeah.
So the song Cry Little Sister, prominent song of that movie and soundtrack. And sure. And so I went to find it on YouTube and look up the lyrics, and I'm like, oh, maybe this is a song I could try at karaoke. And then of course I find like the two other remade versions of it, Manson and there's some band, forgive me while I find the name real quick, who did a cover of Cry Little Sister. but I swear I listened to that like every fucking day for like 3 or 4 days straight. I couldn't help it.
Right.
Hang on. It's here. Seasons After. Seasons After is the band. They covered it. I think they did the best job of covering it between them and Manson. If you get a chance, go watch it on YouTube. You'll see. Anyways.
Okay.
So that's the long answer to say, yes, I have.
Okay. So like, that's like, that happens to me, but I will have just I'll sing like little sections of a song.
Right.
Like I did it the other week with what was it? See, and then that happens. Like I'll have a song just eat my brain for like a week, and then
it's gone.
And then it'll be gone, and I just won't think about it. It was the song The Last Stand by Sabaton. They do now. If you don't know Sabaton, they're like a progressive metal band, and everything they do is based off of like wars and battles throughout history. Like they'll take like a story and they'll do a song to it. And this one is about the like last stand on the steps at the Vatican that the Swiss Guard had to protect the Vatican.
Oh, interesting.
And the chorus, it's actually really cool. Like they're a really cool band. If you're a big dumb nerd, like if you like history and heavy metal, boy, have I got a band for you. And I wish that there was enough of a market to do like a Sabaton tribute band and call it the Winged Hussars or like Ghost Division or something like that. I think that'd be really cool. Well, that's like it. But anyway, the song, the chorus goes, for the grace, for the might of the Lord, for the home of the holy. And like I'll just go for the grace, for the might of the Lord, for the home of the holy, and then I'll play like the rest of the song in my head, and then like when it comes back to the chorus, I'll just out loud go for the grace, for the might of the Lord, for the home of the holy, and then not sing the rest of it, and then like 5 minutes later, I'll think of like Coheed and Cambria's Delirium Trigger, and I'll just go. On the intercom. And then like, or like I'll just like walk around and like as like a tick, I'll just do like, oh dear God, I don't feel alive to myself.
Yeah.
And then just like, I just like do that. And like, but I also do that with bits and jokes to try and figure out the delivery form. Like the joke I told on the podcast, which was the arm, where does a general keep his armies in his sleeveys?
Right.
And like, and it's like working on the delivery of that. And like, because that's what makes a joke fucking funny. It's like,
it's timing timing and delivery.
Timing and tone and delivery. And there's some people that like, there are jokes that are funny when they're delivered in like deadpan, ways. What's the one comedian?
Stephen Wright.
I can't remember his name. Yeah, Stephen Wright. Stephen Wright, he does the, he's like, I spilled spot remover on my dog, and now he's gone.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, exactly. AKA the guy on the couch from Half Baked.
Yes, the guy on the couch from Half Baked, or the radio DJ from Reservoir Dogs. Like,
was it really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, if you go back and listen, like the DJ on the radio, he's Stephen Wright.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go. Now I'm gonna have to go back and watch that movie.
Yeah, listen. If you ever need an excuse to go watch that movie, like you need to. That movie's just pure gold. That era of Tarantino stuff was just banger after banger after banger, man.
Love it. From Dusk Till Dawn.
Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, From Dusk Till Dawn. Pulp
Four
Fiction.
Rooms. Yeah, 4 Rooms. Have you ever seen 4 Rooms?
I have not.
Yo, next time you come up or next time I come down, we're gonna have to watch 4 Rooms. It's so good because it's not strictly a Tarantino flick. It's Tarantino directed one of the rooms.
Okay.
And then I can't remember the other directors that directed the other three, but like Tarantino directed the last one. And like, I love in movies when you see like, when they have like shots of the movie and it's like, you'll see like a 3 minute or 4 minute continuous shot with no cuts. Because you're like, wow, they did that shit in one take.
Yeah, that's
they
crazy.
had to. They might have had like 10 or 12 attempts, but they did it in one fucking take.
Yep.
Like that shit's impressive. And that's one of the things in the Tarantino room is he has this big, long, stupid fucking uncut shot. And you don't notice it. But then when someone tells you after you watch the movie, you go, hey, go back and watch that and watch this one long continuous shot. And you sit there and go, oh, fuck, everything had to happen exactly right. Like that kind of shit is neat. But like the reason that I think I'm like either I have ADHD or I'm neurodivergent or something is because like it's little stuff like at work. One of the things I started doing was making this noise. The little tiny like fart squeak.
Okay.
And like I'll just be standing there and I'll be like working on stuff and I'll just go. And I realized I was doing it. And I realized I was like, why the fuck am I doing that a lot? And then I would forget about thinking about it and it would be uncognitive. And then I would just like, I'd be like, okay, I got to print a card. I got to do this. I got to do that. And I would just go randomly. I'm like,
I'm not gonna lie. Whenever you're doing it, it might not even be picking up on the Discord or anything because I didn't hear it. But I can imagine what it is.
yeah. Can you? Well, how about now?
Maybe. In any case,
how can you not fucking hear that?
I don't know. It's not.
I am literally on the microphone going. Really?
Yeah, really. I swear to God.
What kind of noise gate are you putting on me?
Nothing. It's from Discord. It's fucking Discord, man.
Discord,
I don't know.
Dude, I can't believe Discord. Like you can hear me right now. It's not on the recording, is it?
Damn it. Listen,
like,
I didn't do it this time. No. Whatever.
That's fucking weird.
It is weird. In any case, I can. What the fuck is my cat doing? Sorry. I know that was random, but you know this is breaking kayfabe. Like, I saw. Sorry, so you've been down in my basement. I'm sitting here at my desk. I'm staring ahead at my screen. Watching audio levels and shit. And out of my peripheral vision, I just see this fucking black ball of fur just fucking bounding like up and down. And I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? He's playing with the string, like he's playing with one of his toys. But it startled me for a moment because I just caught it out of my peripheral vision and I was like, what the actual fuck is going on here?
What the fuck are you doing, cat?
Yeah. Besides fucking dropping hot deuces down here and stinking up the basement every time I'm down here. I swear
Oh God.
I swear he waits for me to be down here streaming or recording and he's just like, I'm gonna take a shit, meh. And fucking held a high. Oh my God, he's stanky ass.
I'm gonna take a shit. Fuck you, Dad.
Yeah, fuck you. I mean, yeah, but
it's funny.
I love him anyways.
Oh well,
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking cat shits, right, dude? Or apparently, like orange cats take the nastiest shits.
No,
like I don't know. Have you ever heard that?
I have not heard that. I'm gonna have to fact check this with Andy. I don't know that she's ever had any sort of ginger cat, but I will say that that Daphne's shit stank to high heaven. My God, but I don't know, man. He's running a pretty close second.
This is why you come to Breaking Kayfabe for talk about cat shits.
Why not?
Because when I worked at the radio station, when I first got there, we had this white cat that was named Casper.
Okay.
And he was awesome. Casper was cool as fuck, but he got old and he passed away. And shortly thereafter, they decided to start fostering cats. They're like, oh, well, we'll foster cats, because they didn't want to replace Casper. The very first cat that they fucking fostered, his name was Tiger, and he was an orange cat. He looked like Garfield.
Okay.
And he was awesome because it was like the second coming of Casper. He really was a lot like Casper. And then the like one of the first days we had him, all of a sudden we smelled raw fucking sewage. And we were like, what the fuck is that? And I went into the little bathroom that we had to make sure that there was no fucking pipes broken.
Oh my God.
I like checked the like borough website to see if there was like something fucking wrong. No, it was just this orange motherfucker taking a dump. Oh my God. It was abysmal. It peeled the paint off the walls. It stank so bad it would kick someone into puberty.
Oh
like it was fucking like, it was insane. Like it would make your nose like fucking seal up. It's disgusting.
God, that's terrible.
Dude, it was horrible. Especially like there were numerous times where I just had to close up the booth until like and keep myself encapsulated in this boiling hot fucking room.
Oh God.
Because that cat's shits were terrible. And you would see the one owner run around with like air freshener just spraying Febreze.
I'm sorry.
Because that cat... What?
I had a random thought as soon as you said being sealed up in the booth. Again, this is where we're going tonight. It's just fucking random fucking tangents, and I'm here for it. You said about the booth. I immediately went to Toll Booth Willie. $1.25 pop. That's it. I'm coming out of the booth.
I'm coming out of the booth. Yeah, that's how it was.
Oh,
that's
God.
how that shit felt. That cat was disgusting. He was a fucking shit machine. And that's one thing that I like. I miss the cat, but I don't miss walking in there at fucking 4:30 in the morning because I have to do all the snow alerts. And just going, like, and dealing with that first thing in the morning. I don't miss that. But no, like that. I know. And again, this talks about like my ADHD and shit like that. But like, I really think that like part of like those are like little things that make me that make me wonder about myself. And I'm like, do I need some kind of like medication, or like do I need some kind, like how do I determine this? And when this reminded me I need to call my my therapist and get a maintenance thing, because I haven't been to therapy in about 2.5 months.
Ooh, yes, yeah, it's about time. Yeah.
Well, it's about time, but like it was good because whenever like a lot of the issues that I dealt with,
crackhead. Sorry, again, cats. Fucking.
Well, I know where you live. Crackheads are a problem, but like.
Well, no, that's the next town over, technically. That's why I'm always very, very, very diligent about differentiating between, my town and New Ken, even though they share the same zip code. New Ken, that's where the crackheads are. I digress.
That's true.
I digress. My cat's got the fucking zoomies right now, and he bolted from the other side of the basement, like where the stairs are that go upstairs, over to my side, and he decided to go directly underneath my chair and feet. So he went completely like straight underfoot, and he didn't slow down at all. He just fucking zoomed. I thought he was going to run into the wall by the recliner, but he didn't.
Thump.
Yeah, I thought I was waiting for it. I was waiting for him to just fucking thunk and knock himself silly, but he managed to put on the brakes. But he didn't slow down before he got to my feet and underfoot. Yeah.
Well, but okay. Well, I'm glad that your cat is dialing back on his fucking zoomies.
Oh no, he's not dialing back now. Now him and Daphne are actually like playing together. They're like wrestling around and chasing each other. So
your butt napkins, my lord.
What?
I may or may not be, because okay, so this goes into like one of the big things for Breaking Kayfabe. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it does. It's a combination of it's a combination of you and then catching them out of the corner of my eye, and like they're running and then he like kind of half hops over her head. It's just fucking cat zoomies and ADHD poot. That's the title of this episode.
Yeah, Katsumi's and ADHD poot. The but so like one of the reasons that I wasn't on the podcast the past 2 weeks is one, we had Hellbent practice,
right?
And that I try and make that if we do have to have Hellbent practice on a Thursday, I try and give you guys enough lead time that it's not 2 hours before and I go, oh hey guys, we're having a practice,
right?
But like it happens occasionally, and it happens every once in a while, but the other thing I've been doing is getting myself back into my guitar repair and building thing.
Right.
And I've been making that a priority again. And it's been awesome. Like it's been really good because it kind of reminded me, I'm like, oh, that's right. I'm good at other things. Like I know about other things. Like I'm good because like and again, I know we call ourselves Wealth and Asset for a fucking reason. And I know that you and I on Breaking Kayfabes, like we've talked about like banking and we've talked about finance and we've talked about the world of working therein.
Right.
It's effectively customer service, but with a necktie. Like on some level or another. But like, because those jobs are really time consuming and very mentally exhausting. And in my case, physically exhausting.
Right.
Because you're on your feet for 8 to 10 hours a day in dress shoes. Like, and that doesn't sound like a lot. I'll tell you what, everyone I talk to who does a job where they're like moving all day, like on their feet, like in like when I used to do warehouse work, or like when you did FedEx work, which again, FedEx work, that's physically demanding.
Yeah, it is, like, but it's. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was maybe the first 2 months, at the most, that my body had to get used to doing that kind of work. Like, I came home, and that's why I got that foot massager that you now have, that foot bath.
Yes.
That's why I got that at first. Andy got it for me, because I needed it. And I had started working right before peak season, like right at Christmas time and stuff like that. Like, I started in November of that year whenever I started, and peak season is literally like from Black Friday up through until New Year's.
Oh yeah.
And you even kind of get a little bit of like bleed over before and after. But yeah, my body had to get used to that. My like, I would come home, like when I first started, I wore like the compression knee braces, basically. Yeah, not like Stone Cold-esque, but you know what I mean, like the ones you can get at Walmart that are like the...
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I'm sure everybody else listening does too. But I would wear those knee braces. And I would come home and, like ice my knees. I'd, put my feet in a little foot massager bath or whatever, roll them out, whatever. And then eventually I didn't have to. So yeah, but to be, I would say it's objectively easier to be moving around at a certain point, because eventually your body's getting used to it, and you're not just working just that one set of muscles or whatever, like just standing in place on your feet or standing primarily in place. I would say is objectively harder than getting to move around, because then you're engaging other parts of your body.
You're relieving pressure
exactly
more often.
Yes,
like,
thank you.
Yeah, you might have more like impact. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But like you're moving.
Right.
And that's the thing, is that like you don't get that when you are at one place for, X amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's the same.
Like when you're standing in one place at one counter for fucking 8 to 10 hours.
Right, and it's the same thing of like when why they give people like standing desk is because sitting there the whole time too. Like, you can, if you're prone to having any sort of lower back, hip issues or anything like that, it can fuck with sciatica or anything like that too. So so by the same token, they give people, standing desk to relieve that, the issues of sitting all day too. We're not meant to just stay in one place like for 8 hours straight unless we're sleeping, really. And even then, how many of us move around in our sleep?
Oh, dude, I wake up in the middle of the night. If I sleep on my stomach, my lower back hurts when I wake up. Like it like now part and parcel to that might be my mattress. Because my mattress is fairly soft.
It's always interesting to me whenever people mention about being stomach sleepers. I mean, I know my girlfriend is kind of, or can be. I've never been a stomach sleeper. The only time I think I've ever like stomach slept is if I've been just so dead ass tired, like, or like passed out from drinking, sort of thing. Like, but even then, but even
like
then,
ugly sleep.
Yeah, but even then, I don't know. I'm really trying to dig into the memory banks here. I don't think I ever really like stomach slept. I think I've always I've either been on my side or I've been a back sleeper. And when I'm a back sleeper, I'm literally like a fucking like a mummy. I'm just fucking there with my hands kind of clasped on my diaphragm or whatever, and I'm just done. That's it.
Well, I know when I was when I had lost weight a couple years ago,
mm-hmm.
I slept a lot better on my back.
Yeah.
And because and that's the thing, is that like I think I might have sleep apnea too. So that's another thing I got to do next year, is I got to go get a sleep test done, because I know a lot of people I know who have sleep apnea aren't overweight. Like, a lot of them, I mean, there are the majority of people I think who have it are, but there's a ton of people who have sleep apnea that are not heavy.
Right.
So it's something I need to look at. But digressing, my point with this was I got back into my guitar repair and stuff. I had put it down a while ago because, life got in the way. I had a lot of things that I was trying, like all that ins and outs of more memes about Poot the Bard on this podcast, aside from his 5-star chef, and it's on the recording. Having my like one of our Breaking Kayfabe episodes was Poot the Bard's love life sucks. It was like an early Breaking Kayfabe.
Was it?
And it was part and parcel to that. Oh yeah, it's a really early one.
Okay.
Like with that, like it took me a long time to kind of pull myself up out of a depressive hole.
Right.
And once I did, like it took a long time for me to get to the point where I felt like I was able to go back down and do that, because it was something that was a point of contention where I was prioritizing that over someone else. And so it had I had like conditioned myself into that it was a negative thing and I'm wasting my time. And I had to undo that shit. And I did. And I'll tell you what, when I put out the other week that I'm taking work again, and I have a couple things that have been sitting in my basement for like well over a year that I never got around to because I was working on me. And luckily, those people are very understanding. I got back down there and I all of a sudden was inundated with work. I had a ton of stuff that came my way, and it's neat stuff. And it's stuff that I was able to do. And it's stuff that I was able to problem solve. And it's stuff that I was able to realize, I'm like, oh shit, I'm good at other stuff.
Yeah.
Like I forget sometimes, and this is going to sound a little snotty of me. I will watch concert videos and like watch guitar players or like go on, TikTok or whatever. And I'll watch people play guitar and I'll go, man, I wish I could do that. And I have to go, wait a minute. I can do that.
Yeah.
Like it's the thing of going, oh yeah, I do that.
Yeah,
and like I have to remind myself.
Damn Skippy,
Yeah.
you do, and you do it well, man. I listen, and this is not me blowing smoke up your ass by any means. But for anybody that's listening, all 5 of you, here we go, self-deprecation at its finest. If you're ever find yourself around Clearfield, I'd highly suggest going to see Hellbent. Dude, I had such a fun time watching you guys play. We've been doing this podcast now for a couple years. A couple few. Yeah, couple few. But a couple months ago was the first time that I ever actually got to witness my friend who's in a band actually, play. It's something we always talked about. We talk about the band and everything like that. But never got to actually witness it and see you in your element. You know what I mean? And it was awesome.
Yeah.
It is awesome to see somebody, see people that see people that you care about and stuff like that, doing something that is right in their wheelhouse, right in their element, that, you can tell that you're enjoying yourself and stuff like that. It's refreshing. It's always good to see that, no matter who it is or anything like that. And to a similar degree, I can understand, having to step away at a certain point from doing something that you really enjoy, or not doing it as much. I kind of ended up doing, some of that with streaming too. Some of it, my schedule changed just because my jobs had changed and things like that. And then part of it too was just that, I was mentally drained from my last job whenever I was, delivery driving and stuff, because after being there for a certain amount of time, then I started taking on managerial stuff, which turned into which translated as like route planning for the next day. Let me tell you, you can't make everybody happy, because you will sit there and you will scrutinize, or I should say, I would sit there and I would scrutinize and I would try to even this stuff out as much as I could. However, when you're working with a flawed system that you don't have accurate fucking numbers, doesn't help. Does not help. You have
I fucking know that song and dance.
It's a guesstimation at best. And so you try to do your best to plan for it. And sometimes you come in a little under what it says your projected numbers are, and sometimes you come in over. And you just got to hope that if you come in over, that you have the people there to handle that workload, or that you can spread it around, or that you don't have somebody call off, because God help you if you do. You don't want to book too many people on the books, because you don't want to have to send anybody home and not have any work that day. But you want to make sure that you're doing enough, that you're doing your job of making sure the workload is reasonable, for whoever you have driving that day, and that it's, from a company standpoint, that it's worth it, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Because I never dealt with payroll, but I mean, higher ups are gonna, they're gonna be looking at something and saying, oh, we're paying this driver X amount, but they're only doing this amount of work. They should be doing more, or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But man, like, that would take up my nights. Like, I'd get done driving. I'd get home a little bit earlier than what I do now. but it wasn't always consistent. And some days were just really, really shitty. And I'd be on the way home, and I'd be getting a call from the terminal asking about one of my drivers in my company missing a pickup or something. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. I'm literally driving home right now. I'm driving down 28. It's not like I can pull over and check my fucking check my computer right now. Like, if you can't get a hold of them right now, I don't know what makes you think that I'm going to be able to. So you're going to have to give me a little bit to get home, so I have a spot where I can, get on the computer, see what's going on. I was like, because right now I'm flying blind, But so then it was, to make sure that that's getting all taken care of, and then turn right back around, and about 9 o'clock at night or so, 8:30, 9 o'clock, got to get on and got to plan the shit out for the next day. And sometimes I'd be able to get on and get that taken care of in like an hour, maybe hour and a half tops. Sometimes I'd be on there till like almost the cutoff for like a full, 2 hours or whatever. And man, I'd be like getting down to the wire. Like, I gotta have this stuff in because, at 11 o'clock, our shit would cut off, and like whatever we have is how our routes are gonna be. And man, I'll tell you, like, do that, and then you gotta get back up in the morning, and I gotta get in earlier enough because I couldn't, gotta make sure that everything is all squared away before we even get started for the workday, because you gotta make sure trucks are in place. I'm already exhausting myself talking about this. And I had to do that for so long, and it just fucking gnawed at me, and it took away so much of my time, and it took away time from streaming. And now I'm finally getting back to like a consistent part-time schedule, like 3 nights a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'll see about sneaking in some Thursdays or something like that if we don't have much talking about, or if I can, skip out on a second episode or something if there's not a whole lot going on or whatever. There's not picks, this and that, whatever the case may be. But yeah, man, I kept saying that too. I was like, I was really disappointed with where my page was in terms of like quote unquote success with it. And it bothered me because I knew what I was capable of. I knew what I could do with it because I had done it before, but I hadn't been able to for such a long time because I was just so fucking mentally drained from work and everything else. And really, I was like trying to pull myself out of that rut. I was like, I gotta make this a priority for myself again. I have to, because I'm fucking miserable. And I started it. I started doing streaming because it was something that it was time set aside for myself. It was my time. That's my me time. That's time for me to decompress. That's time for me to, do something that I enjoy doing. And then I decided to, make it, share that with other people via streaming and make a community of friends. Maybe not. Maybe make it a little, maybe it's lucrative, maybe not. And it turned into a nice little, side thing. It was it hasn't been in, I don't want to say never will be, but I'm just going to say right now, it has not and is not right now my main bread and butter. I have my full-time job. I've always had a job. Streaming was never like my primary thing. It is my semi-professional part-time hobby, as I like to put it. But it's something that I enjoy doing. It's something that I can relieve stress that way. It's still a certain amount of work, and I'm sure as you can, you'll feel the same way with like your guitar work. Like, it's something you enjoy doing, but if it's something that you're trying to have some modicum of success with, you have to put in work with it. Like,
oh God, yeah.
Like if
oh my God, yeah.
if I want to have even a semi-successful streaming page or anything like that, I have to put in the work. I have to make the stream look presentable. I have to make sure that I'm putting out content. I have to make sure that the content is entertaining. I have to do this. I have to do that. It's work. It is. Like,
it's a shit ton of work, man.
it is.
Like, I know.
And don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, like, I'm not saying that I don't enjoy it. Like, you know, it's just like anything. Like, there's good stressors, bad stressors, and stuff like that. Like, it's, and I know you'll know this. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about because you've done it. It was not having the mental capacity to be quote unquote on. And that was the problem I had. I was so drained that I couldn't be quote unquote on. Not that I'm like putting on a facade when I'm streaming, because I'm pretty straightforward when it comes to everything. You know what I mean? But you have to dial it up a little bit. You know, you have to be on. And I just couldn't. I didn't have the energy. I really could not do it. I could not bring myself to do it at times. And it's not like I would even be it's not like I would even be playing games off stream on my own time. I would literally just fucking come home, put on the TV, veg out, and fucking just kill time until it was time to shove my ass back in front of the computer to plan out routes for the next day and do whatever I had to do, and then fucking go to sleep, get up, and rinse and repeat all over again. And I hated it so much. So I'm glad that I could get back into to getting back to a more consistent, like, part-time schedule with it and stuff like that. I've had a lot of fun with the last couple of games that the last game in particular that I was streaming. I had a lot of fun with it. And I'm glad to hear that you're getting back into your guitar work, because obviously that is something that you're, you know, passionate about and everything like that. Being a musician, like, how could it not be? You know.
Well, I still am very open with I am still very open with people about the fact that, like, I want to make that my priority.
Right.
Like, I want to make that what I do for a living. And I know I, you know, and the thing is, I don't know about you. I'm actually I'm very open about, like, what I like how I do things, because, like, I don't do this for free. This is not a passion project.
Right.
Like, I do this as a side hustle.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things I've picked the brains of some really cool people. I've gotten the chance to interact with people who do this for a living, have done it for a living, or have been in the industry, and see how things work. I've changed. I used to do it where I charged $15 an hour, and then I would charge by the job. So each job had its own price range. So you had my hourly rate plus the job, plus materials, plus all the, and after talking to a fella who has a really cool guitar shop, and he actually does do this for a living. He went and trained at a place called Crimson Guitars over in Europe.
Oh wow.
And he took their course over there. And his instruments are phenomenal. I got the chance to play them. They're dynamite. And he's a great guy. His name's Robert Livingston. He owns LC Guitars.
Okay.
And
not a sponsor.
I met him at not a sponsor. It was 2 years ago at a thing we have in Clearfield here called the Upstage Music Fest.
Right.
Which we had this year. It's getting bigger. Like you're getting bigger names. Like we had Life of Agony there, which I know that might not mean as a lot to a lot of people, but Life of Agony is like one of the bands that was a seminal part of the hardcore scene. Like they're like
I feel like
they were on the gigantic.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard of them, but
yeah,
but I wouldn't know a song of theirs to gun to my head. I would know their music,
Yeah, and I mean they were on the Gigantour with Megadeth, Dream Theater, Fear Factory. Like they toured, like they toured, and they've played to huge audiences. Like they're one of those things. They're kind of a big deal in that scene. And they came to little old Clearfield and played at the Upstage. So like every year it's been growing. But 2 years ago, they have vendors there. People sell stuff like records, clothes. The bands have merch set up. But then this guy showed up. His name was Robert Livingston from LC Guitars. And I went over there and I was picking his brain and we were yakking about stuff. And like, he gets people who probably talk about that stuff. But then I started talking about like refret and like all this other like refretting guitars and all this. And he goes, "Oh, you know what you're doing." And so we hit it off. And I talked to him about how he prices things. Because that's one of the things with anything you get into is like how, like not how do you make money, but like what do you charge that's fair, that will not scare people away,
right? Because
like how do you do
it's always I got just a little bit of an aside. I feel like it's always harder when you're doing stuff that is with or dealing around or with arts and the arts itself, like because sometimes like like illustrators and stuff like that, if you do graphic design, anything like that, like I feel like that's something that people don't necessarily really take the time and can really appreciate the amount of work that goes into it, like creatively, and then
for sure.
And then just like in general, like the actual time and labor. But I feel like that's always a hard thing to kind of judge, because like other things you kind of have like, I don't know, I feel like you have a little bit more cut and dry stuff. Like if you're an electrician, if you're a plumber, this and that, you're gonna have parts and labor, and then you know like you have an idea of like kind of what to base.
You don't want to. You don't want to price yourself out of work, but you also don't want to undercut everybody else.
Exactly.
Because that's undercutting is a huge problem in any kind of trade.
Right.
I know a buddy of mine does film and photography for TV shows.
Okay. Yeah.
And one of the big problems is that you have people that want to break into the industry and they will take next to nothing. And they'll get hired because places that are putting on, TV shows and putting on, all these different things, they will, they'll go, well, we're going to hire this guy because he's taking, 60% of what someone who's experienced would.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's a huge problem, because then what that does is instead of everybody standing together and going, this is what we charge, like you have people that are going, well, I'll do it so I can get my foot in the door.
Yeah.
And then they're hoping they'll be able to raise their rates because they're more experienced. But what they'll do is eventually price themselves out of work. Right.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
So we like him and I have discussed this. And so after talking to Robert, he was like, hey man, charge a flat rate for your time. And then parts. He said, don't overcomplicate shit. And whenever he said that really stuck with me,
right,
on like not overcomplicating things. And that extended into everything I do with my guitar work. Because I get lost in the sauce. I don't know about you. I will tend to get lost in the sauce. And like, overcomplicate things, overthink things, and then that's where you fuck up.
Poot,
You know what I mean?
Poot, do you realize that you're talking to somebody that is a very much admitted self-perfectionist, like if you follow or believe in any of the astrological hokey pokey shit, like I am a Virgo through and through, dude. I am like the natural organizer, fucking I'm my own worst critic. I'm a natural born perfectionist. Like, yeah, fucking hands raised over here. I feel you.
Oh yeah. like
I
so but that's the thing, is that I'm like, oh, okay, like I need to, and once I started doing that, things started making more sense and things started being kind of put together a little bit better.
Right.
Especially coming back into this. So I now, whenever someone comes to me, if anyone is listening and somehow this crosses people's ears, is I charge $40 an hour flat, minimum 1 hour. And after that initial hour, I'll like, if I do an hour and a half's worth of work, I go, okay, that's $60.
Right. Makes sense.
Because it's, but if I go like an hour and 5 minutes, I'm not going to go, well, that's 2 hours. I won't do that. I'm not one of those people.
Right.
And with parts, I just go, make me wash on this. I don't overcharge for parts. I just take what it cost me to get them, and that gets added in.
Right.
Usually rounding down. Like, so if it's like, if parts cost me $60 and it was $60.40, I'll round down to $60.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, instead of rounding up.
Right.
And I don't draw out my time and anything like that. If something takes me, and I make sure to make that plain, it's like, it is $40 per hour, minimum 1 hour. So I always tell people it's minimum going to cost you $40.
Yeah,
and that can get people a lot, because I know what to do. And a lot of stuff is like, hey, my guitar's not playing great. Can you do a setup? Sure. Take me, maybe half an hour.
Yeah.
But it's minimum an hour.
Well, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because again, also in the arts field, look at any tattoo shop that you go to. Same thing. They charge, there's a minimum price they do, and it's, I'd say most tattoo places are like, on average, I'm gonna say like, $100 an hour. And you're getting, that's the minimum you're gonna pay is $100, because honestly, any tattoo worth its weight is gonna take like an hour to do.
Oh God, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, depending on what you're getting done. What? 150 an hour? Well, yeah, they're worth it. They got good artists. Shout out to True Image. But
yeah,
anyways.
well, no, and that's the thing. Tattoos, listen, I have so many people that tell me, like, whenever I go get my first tattoo, they're like, oh, I know a great place, and it won't cost you that much. I'm like, look, if I get a tattoo, motherfucker, I want the people to charge me a lot of money, because they know their fucking worth.
Exactly. And listen, I've after from people I know, and then people I've seen as whenever I've been working on them as a massage therapist for a decade, I've seen really awesome work, and I've seen really shitty work. That is not something that you want to fucking try to skimp and save on by any means.
No.
Yeah. That I mean,
it's your health and well-being.
Yeah. It's that you don't go for the fucking buku cheap fucking basement deal. You know what I mean? Like, you go somewhere, you peruse the portfolios of work and stuff like that. And honestly, I feel like this is probably one of the more professional things, and thankfully I know tattoo artists that are this way, where you ask, like, here is what I'm looking to get. Because some people specialize in a particular art style. Some people, are really good with American traditional. Some people are really good with black and gray, new school, et cetera, whatever. Any good professional tattoo artist, will be
Worth
honest
their
with you.
salt.
Yeah, any artist worth their salt will tell you if something's not in their wheelhouse, they're gonna direct you to the person that is. And I had that in my experience with massage therapy. If I knew that somebody needed a particular modality or a certain style of work, if I knew my style of work wasn't gonna fit them or benefit them the most, that'd be like, hey, you need to go book a couple sessions with so and so or whatever. And come back to me. If you can't get in with them, that's fine. But, I feel like their work is going to be more beneficial. And that just came from, getting worked on by different people and kind of seeing what their style was and what their niche was and things like that. And just like, again, it kind of expands throughout all, it really should expand through any occupations, but I feel like it expands more so throughout the arts and like customer service and stuff like that, especially, knowing your limitations or knowing the abilities of others. So like if you had something, you know a particular another guitar person or something. You guys aren't like competing or anything like that by any means, but you just know somebody and you know that they are really good at doing this particular type of work. And somebody comes to you and says, hey, I have this problem. Can you fix this? And you say, well, you know what? That's not really in my wheelhouse, but go see so-and-so. They're more likely to come back to you because you're at least honest with them and tell them like, hey, listen, I'm not going to bullshit you and I'm not going to try to take your money. I'm going to try to help you because you came to me originally. I may not be the one to actually fix the problem for you, but I'm going to at least point you in the right direction,
I've done that. Like if I always tell people if I can't do something or if I attempt to do something and I can't do it, I will find someone who knows how to do it.
Yep.
And I have a policy that if someone comes to me and asks me to do a complex job, if they come to me and they go, I want you to do X, Y, and Z, and it's something I've never done before, I always do it for free.
Okay.
And I tell them, I go, I'm upfront and honest with them. I go, here's the deal. I've never done this work before. However, I will try it if you want me to do it. Because anytime that it's something new, I always try and do it on one of my guitars. Because if I fuck up my guitar, I'm not going to be happy about it, but at least it's mine and it's my fuck up.
Right.
And it's not on anybody else in particular. So, like, I will do that. I will, I'll go ahead and I will, say I'll do it. And a lot of people go, absolutely go for it. And I go, okay, you know what you're getting into. And I make it very clear. I go, you know what you're getting into, right? And they go, absolutely, I know what I'm getting into. And I go, okie dokie. Now, luckily, every time I've tried something new, it's worked out. It's worked out like to where it's paid off. And I've done it. I ended up doing it correctly, not necessarily perfectly, but I've done it correctly.
Right.
And I know one of the ones that I consider what I would say you could argue would be a failure, was a buddy of mine brought me his first Stratocaster. And it was a Squire. It wasn't super valuable. But he said, I want you to make this look like Steve Vai's original green, what's it called? Green Monster, I think is what he called it. That's how out of it I am. And I said, okay. And he goes, I want the Lion's Claw tremolo. And it basically is like a modification Steve Vai did back in the day to his own guitar, where he cut out a route bigger so he could pull the tremolo back really far to get really big pitch changes.
Okay.
In this thing. And I said, okay, I'll do it. I've never done it before. So and he goes, oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It turned out okay, but not great. Everything worked fine, but it was one of those things that I decided I'm never doing that again.
Right.
Like I literally was like, not doing that ever again. I'm not, unless someone wants to pay me an absurd amount of money, I'm not. It's the same thing with working on semi-hollow guitars where you have to wire the thing up outside the body, then put it in through a tiny little F hole in the guitar. You know, like a violin has those little holes on it?
Not really.
They're like,
go on.
Well, if you look at a violin, there's these holes on the front of the guitar, or the guitar, on the front of the violin, and they're called F holes because they look like.
You see these holes on the violin? Shoes of a champion.
Shoes of a champion. I use that a lot. I do that a lot. I do that a lot at work.
Oh,
I go.
I'm sorry. You know what? The phrase that I use a lot. Best idea I ever heard of. And I fucking get dagger shot at me from my better half. She's like, I'm going to fucking kill you. Shut up.
Best idea I ever heard of.
Side note, buddy. Season 2.
Oh, yay. Yeah. When's it coming out?
I think it's out.
Oh, sweet. I don't have Hulu anymore.
No?
I got rid of Hulu. Now I got rid of Hulu.
Let me
I got rid of it because
we'll talk.
Don't compunctualize. We'll talk after the podcast off the record.
Oh yeah, off the record.
But anyway, digressing. My point with this is like, there's some work you do and you go never a fucking again.
Yep.
And like, and the thing is, I will tell people, I decided I will look at someone and go, look, normally my rate is $40 an hour. This is going to be 60. And I've made that decision that I'm going to be flexible because if you're going to ask me to do something that is going to be really fucking hard and really fucking like walk the line of, okay, there's not a lot of margin of error here. I am going to make it worth my while.
Absolutely.
Now here's the thing. My point with, again, digressing even further, my point with this is I went, I have a lot of people who come to me say, do you still teach guitar lessons? Because I used to do that. And I say, no, I don't have time. Part and parcel of it is because I have a lot going on. I'm in 2 bands. I do guitar work. I have a job where I'm at for 8 to 10 hours a day. I have the podcast here. I have, we have game nights on Tuesday, and then on Sunday nights, like I try and game with my buddies. I try and make time for like to go see my family. Like I have a lot of stuff, a lot of irons in the fire. And yet again, aside from being a hideous chud, that's one of the reasons why I'm like dating is on the back burner, because I'm just like, I have way too much in my life to then look at someone and go, you're going to be a priority. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that might sound selfish.
No. I get it because I get it because when I started doing the streaming thing, I made it a point where I said, I'll do this during the week, regularly, during weeknights and stuff like that. And but I would take aside the weekend because that would be time for, my girlfriend and my kids.
Right.
Which, and still primarily is the way I operate. It's every once in a while, if I do a stream on the weekend, it's either one, because it was like a special thing, like if I did like a giveaway stream or something like that, because it's easier to get everybody in on the weekend or whatever and stuff like that. All well and fine. And those usually didn't take long because I would do, sometimes if I was doing just the giveaway, that was fine. If I wasn't actually doing a stream along with it, like streaming and then stop and like draw a winner or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But generally, the only other time that I'll do a stream on the weekend is if if I know that like my girlfriend's gonna be gone for the day or something like that, like like her and Jen went out a couple weekends ago to like a witchy festival or something like that. They were gone all day. I was like, I'm gonna fucking stream. Cool.
Yeah.
Or like in the case of this past weekend where I didn't do a stream on like last Wednesday or whatever, and I said, you know what, I would really like to make this up on this day, and I knew that again they were gonna be out and about or something. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna stream. That's cool. I'll do that. So I did. And then if I do something on the weekend, and I'll see if it's something that I can get the kids involved with. So like we didn't do it on stream, but like this past Sunday in the evening, I knew that the kids didn't have school on Monday. I don't know why, teacher in service or Act 80 day or something or whatever. And we've been playing the new we started playing the new fungal map in Among Us on our Tuesday night crew, and the kids are into that game too. I've had them play before with us, but they obviously don't come into the Discord. So I was like, all right, well, Sunday night you guys don't have school. I was like, Sunday evening we'll see if we can get some people together and do a little bit of that. So we did. We had a pretty good time. We had I forget, we didn't have to have like too many randoms or anything like that. It wasn't too bad. But so if there's stuff that I can involve them in or whatever, if it's like playing Mario Kart or something, if regardless, if there's something I can involve them with, like a community sort of game or something like that, then I'll try to do that. But I don't make that a regular thing, because other times, we'll try to go somewhere and do something to, go somewhere, even, go shopping, whatever, go do something with them, instead of just sitting around or whatever like that. But they are quite the proficient gamers, I will say. And the last game that I was playing here, this like Resident Evil light gun game, the like rail shooter, when I was streaming it on Saturday, they happened to come down and they were watching, and I'm like, okay, well, they're not freaked out by this, so cool, that's a plus. And then they asked, like, when can we help you on the game? And I was like, oh, okay. So literally the next day, Sunday, so during the day before we did the Among Us thing in the evening, I told them, I was like, hey, I'm gonna come down and you guys can take turns and be my second player. And they were all over it, dude. We were shooting up zombies and everything. I'm like, shoot this thing, shoot it. We were having a blast. It was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So if that might be something I might look into doing, on the weekends now, if there's something I can involve them with. I have to get the gears, get the old brain gears a turn in here and see if that's something I can do, because I'm still at that fine line where I don't remember, I don't recall exactly what the restrictions are with like YouTube, and as far as like the whole, is your channel for kids, does it feature kids or not, blah blah blah. Like, I don't want to be violating like any sort of community standards or anything like that, because I've always said, like, my page is not for your children. If you choose to let them watch it, fine, but just know
that's on you.
That's not intended for kids. And my kids know I have a foul mouth, and they're thankfully mature enough to not be little parakeets about things.
Right.
But I don't shy away. It's not like I go out of my way to drop F-bombs in front of my kids by any means, but I don't shy away from it. It happens. They hear me say it. I'm not, they know better. Like,
do they ever have the thing where they go, "Oh, Dad's mad"?
Not really, because I don't ever get like super mad. Like, it's more so at times like if I tell them to do something and then I have to like tell them again, I'm like, hey, fucking do what I told you to do. Let's go. You know better. And that's it. Like, I maybe have to say that, every once in a while I'll have to say that. And then that's it. I don't have to keep constantly repeating myself because they know I mean business. Like, if I tell you fucking do something, do it, or else there's going to be repercussions. And,
Right.
like, and I am not one of those parents that has, that will try to bargain with them. If I tell you or ask you to do something, I expect you to do it because that's the way I've raised you. Like, do what you're told.
Is that one of those times where your military shows?
I think so.
Okay.
But it's the I was trying to say
Not
like,
a problem.
No.
I'm just
It's
saying,
it's more so like okay, so I've seen this happen with parents where they're trying to get your kid to eat or something like that. Kid doesn't want to eat; they want to go play. And it's like, okay, well, like eat 3 more bites, and then they're still putting up a fuss. And it's like, okay, we'll eat 2 more bites, and you
Right.
let them bargain you down or negotiate you down. And I'm like, no, if you don't finish this, you're not doing X, Y, or Z, or whatever the case may be. Like we had a couple times before previously with like, where they didn't tell us they had homework or something like that. Yeah. And I mean, I think Connor got his Switch taken away from him like for the better part of a month at one point. I said, listen, man, I understand. You know what? If I ask you if you have homework and you tell me no and you lie to me, that is on you. I understand that I'm the parent and you're the child, but I asked you. I expect you to show me enough respect and honesty to not lie to me because you don't want to do your homework or whatever. I was like, and then I explained them and I talked to them like an adult and said, like, listen, this is why you need to do this. Because when you get out into the real world, if you do not do what you need to do, aka your job, then you don't have a job, which means you don't have money, which means you are fucked. Like, there are consequences to your actions or lack thereove. And I think that's something.
You get drowned. There's consequences to your actions.
Well, yeah, it's I think I've instilled that into him. I was like, hey, for better or for worse, sometimes good, sometimes bad. Every action, equal and opposite reaction. Said, if I tell you, at times if somebody were babysitting them, I said, okay, make sure you listen and be good. What's going to happen if you don't? We'll get our butt smacked and get toys taken away. Yep. Okay. You know what the consequences are if you don't follow these rules, and I expect you to follow these rules. And honestly, I think one of the biggest compliments I've ever had before was, oh, your kids are so well behaved. And I said, thanks. I know I'm doing something right then. You don't have to tell me the kids are cute. I know they're cute. They're my kids. Of course they're cute. Tell me how well behaved they are. I'll know I'm doing my job as a parent. And that's all I can ask for, is that I leave the world in, partially in their hands, that they are not going to be shitbag human beings. So I think I'm doing a pretty good job of that so far.
I know my mom still takes a lot of pride whenever, little old ladies or whatever come up to her and tell her that they'll say, like, about myself or my sister, they'll be like, you raise such nice children. And I go, I fooled them all. It's like my mom and dad, I know, take a lot of pride in that. And they've seen my sister and I at our worst, what I mean? But they know that when we're out there, we're being good, good boys and good girls. if you will. I particularly myself am a good girl.
You're the prettiest.
I know well but my like with just compartmentalizing my thought with the guitar thing.
You almost got the beef soundboard there just now. Man.
Yeah. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I want to so bad.
No, don't do it. Come on.
I won't.
My point with it was that I'm like, I realize like the other thing you have is that grand quickening of I go like, man, in 12 years I'm gonna be 50.
Don't do that.
Like I had that, dude. No. Like I'm not doing the midlife crisis thing because like if I was, I would have quit my job a while ago and dove into going like I'm gonna take out a big old business loan and I'm gonna like go for broke on building guitars and shit.
No, but
I'm not like
no,
what I'm doing.
I mean in general, and this goes for anybody. Don't do that. Don't do the whole in 10 years I'm gonna be this age or this. Listen. I'm a 39-year-old grown man child that plays video games and is part-time. Like, you don't just don't age yourself. Yeah, but
you still look like you're like 4. So like I don't want to hear it.
Well, I mean, hey, listen, I can thank my mom and dad for that. Genetics, are pretty good. So thanks mom and dad.
I always tell my parents I got the rotten part of both Bungo and Gunther genes.
Oh no!
I'm just like, oh son of a bitch, I'm a travesty.
I definitely feel at times I either feel or show my age a little bit to like I little things. Not that it bothers me, but I definitely have like the smile lines around my eyes and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like
those are good things, man.
Well, they are, but I don't recall having those, 10 or 20 years ago or whatever. That's just, that's all I'm saying. But again, my point, don't age yourself out. Don't do that whole, in X amount of years, I'm going to be this old or whatever. Fuck that. Age is a number. It's about how you feel.
It's more the fact of like, dude, I've always, and I know we're getting long in the tooth here with this Breaking Kayfabe, but like, I know for me, I have always struggled with what I want to do and what I want to be, and all those things. I always have.
Right.
I have my whole life, and and I've done a bunch of different stuff. Like I mean, I've worked in warehouses. I've dug graves.
Really?
Okay. It was, to be fair, that's a little bit of a spin because it was when I was a kid. I went and helped my dad and my uncle dig graves.
Okay. Still something.
I
never had to do. So that's cool.
Yeah. Well, it was just me basically fucking around. But still I was there and I picked up enough that I'm like, oh, okay, this is how you do this. And I helped, move dirt and stuff like that. So I like to say I helped dig graves, but whether you agree with my candor or not, suck a dick. It's my story. The thing that I've done is I always looked at everybody else around me and went like, man, people know what they want to be and they just fucking did. And I'm like, I wanted to be a welder. Then I wanted to be a chef. Then I wanted to be a professional bassist. Then I'm like, nah, guitar is it. So I went to school for music and then I worked in a music store and taught guitar lessons. And that was fun until I realized I was getting royally shafted on my pay and stuff. Then I moved back and I worked in retail. I stumbled my way into radio and I thought that was going to be my career. Now I work in finance and I'm like, and it's all good. I've learned a lot and I like to think that I'm teachable and everything, but I go man, what's the thing I want to do? And then I remember I just went one day, I got sick and tired of taking my shit to get fixed by someone else and not having it be right. So I went, fuck it. I want to do it myself. So I did. And I started doing it myself. And then all of a sudden, 5 years went by. And I was like, oh shit. I actually know what I'm doing. And like, I learned like all these things and I've done all these things. And like, you know, I've talked to people who went to these programs and did these things. And they're like, yeah, you don't have to do that. You don't. You can learn all this stuff on your own. And I went, oh, fuck, I can. And I have. And it's like, okay, what's the next step? And I've very slowly gained education and gained method and gained all these things. And I go, man, I think I could actually do this, but how do I do it? Like, how do I make this what I do? And this is the first time that I've ever done like slow growth on something. And like, been like, okay, what's the next step? Let's take the next baby step. Let's take the next baby step. Let's take the next baby step. And then all of a sudden I have a basement of a house that's an entire workshop. And I'm like, oh fuck. Like, and I find myself reading and that's the goal, is like going into next year. This is what I was going to tell you earlier, is that I go like, you know what? I'll bet you. And I sat down and I've like run numbers and I've done my budget and I've sat and gone, what do I have to do to sustain my existence the way I have it right now? Doing something I love to do. And I have gone, this is what I need to make. This is what I would need to sustain. How do I make that happen? And instead of just diving in, because there's that romanticized thing that people like to do where it's like, oh, this person dropped their entire life and they moved across the country for X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they have and there are people that like have thrown themselves into, okay, I'm just going to go fucking do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it works out for them. But I think it was Taylor Swift who said like, I never would tell anyone to just drop what they're doing and try and be famous. I think she said that in an interview. She's like, I am incredible. I think it was her. It was either her or someone of her ilk that's like, I'm incredibly fucking lucky.
Yeah.
And the thing is too, the other thing that a lot of people don't tell you is that people who are famous usually come from families of means, or people who are like famous actors, famous musicians, famous whatever, the performing arts or like something like that. Usually they come from a place where they had the latitude to go in their adult life, focus on what they want.
Right.
Instead of having to work a 9 to 5.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's something that a lot of people don't tell you about. And like Taylor Swift came from a very well-to-do family. Like, you hear people they're like, what's the infamous meme that fucking Donald Trump said, with a small loan of $1 million from my father? Yeah, a small loan.
Right.
Of $1 million. Get fucked. You know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of like, but again, it's perspective.
Right.
And and the thing is, yeah, go ahead.
No, like for me, like, growing up, middle to lower class, like sometimes almost poor, I like looking where my life is now, I feel like, I've obtained some level of success in my own personal life.
Yeah.
Like, you always want your, as a parent, like, you would always want better for your kids. You're like, I want you to have the opportunities or things that I didn't necessarily have, or I didn't have access to. If I'm able to do that for you, or give you that experience or something like that. Like, small example, and this is not by any means, in no way, shape, or form, like sour grapes of my upbringing or anything like that. I never went to any hockey games or football games or anything like that with my parents. That wasn't necessarily something that they were into, and it's not something that we had the money to do. I've been fortunate enough. I've been able to take my kids to you know, I've taken them like to WWE shows or whatever. You know, we've gone to, you know, we usually go to Kennywood at least once a year. You know, we've done different things like that. I've taken them on vacation before. I don't ever remember going on like a actual like family vacation whenever I was young. And maybe there was one that I don't remember. I don't know. I may have been too young to really appreciate it or anything like that. But my point being is I look comparatively, I look at where I'm at, and I look at where, you know, our family was whenever I was growing up, and I'm like, okay, I've done well for myself, so good on me. I'm good, and I've made sure that I've made sure that my kids understand and appreciate that too, like instilling that into them, like regardless if you have a little or if you have a little or a lot, like appreciate what you have, take value in that. Because even if you think, oh well, I don't have a lot, and you know, we don't have, you know, all my friends have this and that, and I don't have this. My kids have asked me like, why don't we have a PS4 or an Xbox? I'm like, because you have a Switch and you don't need a PS4 or an Xbox. You don't. They asked me just recently about like a gaming computer, and I said, listen.
Oh boy.
I said, listen, I'm gonna be straight up honest with you guys. You really don't need like a full-on dedicated gaming PC. I was like, maybe we can look into getting you like, you know, some sort of laptop or something. I was like, but you don't need like a custom rig or anything like that by any means. I was like, you are not going to be playing, you're not currently like playing anything that needs that sort of dedicated CPU and GPU power and stuff like that. Like, you just don't need it. I'm telling you. And this is coming from somebody who, you know, knows quite a bit about like gaming and stuff like that, and maybe not as much on the computer spec side of things, but enough to know that I know that you don't need that shit. So I'm not going to spend the money on it and waste it, you know?
Well, and I mean, even like when I built my computer 12 fucking years ago,
it's been 84 years.
It really feels, this poor thing, I've put it through its paces, and now it's becoming a Frankenstein computer because I have a hand-me-down graphics card upgrade, and I put in some my computer won't even handle DDR4 RAM. That's how old it is.
Oh God.
Yeah. Wow. It'll handle DDR3, and luckily, the one IT guy at work, like I told him, I had DDR, I think it's DDR1. I have it sitting over there on the shelf, and it was cheap RAM, and it was only 8 gigs of RAM. Like now I have 16, and like it like breathed a little bit of life into my computer. But
yeah.
But at the time, I spent the money on it because I was like, okay. At the time, it was a good upper mid-level computer that I built. Now, and even but the thing is, for me, it's my main source of like entertainment.
Yeah.
Like I watch YouTube on it. It's my TV. It's what I use to like edit the podcast. I used to edit my YouTube videos on here. Now I use it for streaming. Whenever my fucking internet doesn't act like an asshole. Like it's those kind of things. So like this time, whenever I'm looking at building a new one, I want to build so I don't have to build again for another decade. And that's the thing, is that because of the use I get out of it, I feel like it's a justified expense. You know?
Yeah, I'd say
it's the same thing with my, that's why my apartment looks like a heroin addict lives here. Because like, my bedroom is a bed on the floor. It is a box spring and a mattress on the floor, because my bed frame that I gave away to someone who moved into the apartment and then moved out promptly, that's a whole nother can of worms, decided that instead of giving my bed frame back to me, they were just going to bin it. And they did. And I was not happy. Because I was like, wow, instead of just going, hey, I'm not going to need this, thank you for your generosity, they just threw it away, which was just super. And like I have a love seat and an old hand-me-down recliner, and then like my little guitar room and my little setup. Like my apartment is very utilitarian, and it's simply because I would prefer spending money on my workshop and on my computer and my guitar equipment so I can perform, and decent shoes and food. You know what I mean? Instead of making my apartment like this fancy thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's all about priorities, and I think that's an important. And you seem like you're teaching your kids that, which is good. But Tom, I could keep going and going and going, but we are long in the tooth on this episode.
Yeah, it's all right. It happens.
Yeah.
Listen, I mean, a lot of this conversation would have been stuff that we would have been talking about off recording anyways. So, I'm glad to get it out there, because you know what? Maybe somebody else, if somebody else can take something away from this, then, well, damn it, we've done our job for the night, I'd say.
Yeah, the thing you can take away from this is fucking get a good job, you hobos.
Be careful of your cats while they're on the zoomies. They're gonna shit in the basement and stink it up.
And watch out for ADHD poot. But yeah, this was really kind of cathartic, because like it's one of those things. This is a time, man, and you said about the seasonal depression. It's also a time where like you feel the winds of change blowing in your life. You can feel them, and you're like, oh boy, what's gonna happen? And it's not even enacting on it. It's just kind of going with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like that. But I think we should call the episode here. And just remember, thank you, Tom. Well, first of all, before I do my goodbye, thank you, Tom, for a good Breaking Kayfabe. This was good, buddy.
I appreciate it. Yeah, man. It's always a good time talking, shooting the breeze with you. Whether it's wrestling related or life related or whatever in between, you know.
Yeah, man. Oh, in between life and wrestling, there is Taylor Swift. Anyway, on that note, goodbye, everybody. Just remember, wine is just grape juice with a yeast infection.